What's up? What's up? What's up? What's going on out there, everybody? Hopefully, you're having a great week. This has been a kind of stressful one for me, but we made it. It's hump day. Here is hump day, August the 10th. This is our Wednesday edition of Real Talk for Real Men. And I, of course, am your host, Lee Black. So, welcome to all you tuning in with me. On Wednesdays, we try to get into a conversation about relationships that takes us a little bit beyond the normal fuckery and foolishness. And in case you haven't noticed right from the outset, we talk about things in a grown adult way. So we welcome your opinions. We welcome visitors. I've said this to anybody and everybody. This is an open forum. I put the link into the chat here. You're welcome to come on. We invite anybody to come on and share their opinions and views. We have one simple rule here at Real Talk. We'll agree to disagree without being disagreeable. And you'll find if you watch us, it's all love, it's all fun, but the opinions shared on this show belong to me and me alone. So, charge it to my head, not to my heart. With that said, let's bring in my co-host from Memphis, Tennessee. This is Tasha. What's going on, McMac?
What's going on, Black? How are you?
I am feeling good. I got my towel around my neck because I got my shower out. I done my fresh shave. So whenever I shave, I feel real sexy. So y'all in for a treat. Yes, indeed.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. That's how we feeling tonight.
I'm feeling myself. I got my drink on the side too. All right, let's bring in my brother from North Carolina. This is Mr. Bird. What's going on, partner?
What's up, beautiful people? How y'all doing?
We doing all right. Doing all right. How's life treating you there?
Already, huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right.
You know what? We have to choose to feel good,
That's
and I'll
right.
share with you guys one of the reasons why I'm choosing to be so update here in a second. I always like to set the tone. But I see my brother waiting in the wings from Texas. What's going on, Mr. Kenny?
Hey, what's good? What's good? How you all doing tonight?
Hey,
Fantastic, my brother. How about yourself?
Good, good. We got some rain here in Texas, man. So it's a beautiful thing today.
I feel you. Hopefully it's cooled things down. Fantastic. So welcome. Good to see these beautiful faces here. We're going to get things popping here in a second. And if you just joined us and you missed last week, this is going to be a part 2 episode. We had last week we were talking about dating trends in the shadow of the pandemic era. And we were discussing just different things that we were noticing of how things were before and now post-pandemic, and how has changed how we look at relationships and how we deal with things and things of that nature. So of course, I want to welcome you guys because we're going to hopefully get to the part 2, and we'll get into some spirited conversation. There's Miss Hannah. How you doing, sweetheart? So hopefully you'll get a chance to join us. Yeah, fantastic. But I want to share this with my viewers really quickly for why I'm choosing to be in such a good mood. Do you guys remember seeing the movie From Dusk Till Dawn?
Yeah.
Okay, so long story short, in the movie scene where George Clooney character, they make it across the border, they get into the saloon, the titty bar and everything, and he had trouble getting in there because the guy was giving him trouble, and the truck driver that they had kidnapped actually used the CDL license to get him in there. And when they get to the table, George Clooney's character, he orders the tequila and he's slamming it down, and the guy's like, well, what's wrong with you? And he said that bastard basically over there gave me a hard time. He said, so when I finish drinking this bottle, I'm going to bust it over his melon. And then the father kind of challenges him by saying that, hey, don't you know that you won? You guys are on the lam. You've killed people. You got the entire, state troopers looking for you. You crossed the border. Now you sitting here waiting. Don't be dumb. You've won. But it was the idea, George Clooney, that somebody had pissed him off that just got under his skin. Well, that happened to me today. I ran out to run a quick errand. All I was going to do was buy some lottery tickets, driving out of my apartment complex. Guy had me blocked in. It was just a crazy few moments where we hit his vehicle. And as I was about to get out of mine, a truck behind me beeped, and I was holding him up. And so I got back in my car. Now, here's the beauty of that. In that moment, I was able to go head on and catch my senses. It's not worth it. You know what I'm saying? Getting into a fight of all things over me having the right of way. But the problem here was that even when I went up the street to get my lottery tickets, and I decided not to come back to the building because I said if I see the guy, it's going down. So I took an extra trip to the grocery store, which I wasn't planning on going. And even when I got back home, and it was 4:30 this afternoon, that incident happened at 12 o'clock today. Do you know I was still steaming? I was angry because I wanted to whoop his ass. And I'm so glad that I didn't have a weapon in my hand because it shows you how quickly events can escalate from zero to nothing over nothing.
Right.
Cooler heads prevailed. I decided I'm going to make myself happy because I still kind of want to whoop this cat's ass, but I am choosing to be happy and whole today and to get myself in a better spirit. And that's why I'm in the mood I'm in. Took my shower, got my shave on, and I'm feeling pretty good, y'all.
Well, we glad that the cooler heads prevailed.
Oh my God, yes. Oh my God, yes. So let's jump into this thing. Last week we were talking about the various different dating trends, and just as a quick little reminder, the first thing we were talking about was dry dating as the very first trend that we see that's happening now. And in case you guys don't remember what that was, just give you a little recap. This was talking about dating without the benefit of alcohol. So a lot of people, post-pandemic are choosing to go out and they feel like maybe being less inhibited, having all their senses and not having alcohol involved, that this is, something that maybe would increase their chances, help them make better decisions, things of that nature. And of course, as we discuss this, we can touch on any of these as we go forward. But I just want to kind of bring up what we covered. Okay, then the second one we talked about, the trend was hesitating, and this is something that Tasha eloquated so well, where she was talking about, for her, it's just kind of having that overall feeling that right now she's good, that she's not looking for anything serious or casual. She's at this place in her life right now where, it's mirroring all of the uncertainty that we see happening out here post the pandemic, And so for a lot of people, that is where they are at. They're at this uncertain stage of just kind of, waiting, you know what I'm saying? And so that's kind of where a lot of people are. And finally, we got into a good deep conversation where we were talking about the apps that are in use and apps for all ages. And typically, we used to think about dating apps as something for young people. That was something, and I think many of us, Tasha especially, that's not for her. She's going to hold out for, the tried and true organic way to meet people. But there are a lot of apps out there available for every age group. They even have apps specifically targeting individuals 50 and older. And so whether we like it or not, I don't think this is going away. These are things that are here to stay, and it's post-pandemic. So that brings us to number 4. So we can get into this. This is a trend called proud singlehood. Who wants to take a stab at what this is talking about? Proud singlehood.
I guess it's just, I think women tend to the new one now. This is something that I really think they're big on. They wear their singleness. It's a badge of honor. It's a badge of honor to be single and living their best life, as they say. So I think that's what proud singlehood is.
Absolutely. So I want to share something with you on this because I found this part interesting. I take a lot of this from various articles, and like anything else, I shop from it. I take what I need. But what was interesting to me is that we've heard the term conscious uncoupling, that had been introduced, and we started seeing like Hollywood couples talking about this. And so one of the things that talked about after the pandemic is that 53% of people are now realizing that it's okay to be alone for a while. And that globally, 54% of people globally, the majority of singletons, saying that they're even more mindful now of who they date. So they're in actually no rush. And this is even spilling over into many of these dating sites. And it's funny that you mentioned about women specifically, Ken, because the site Bumble, I don't know if you're familiar with Bumble, but the way Bumble works, which is a little different, As a man, you have to be chosen. This is one of those things where the women hold all of the power. So you can go on and swipe like to all the women you like. You're not going to get contacted until they find you attractive enough. And it's very humbling, that you could have all these things you think going for yourself, but you've essentially have to wait for women to say, yeah, I think I'll tell me what you got. And then you almost have to sell yourself to them. And this is a direct result of this dating trend of a called proud singlehood. What do you guys think about this? And the fact that women in particular are leading the charge in this, it would seem. What's going on, Jonathan? How you doing, my brother?
What's up, Jonathan? I think that probably one of the reasons why women are leading the charge in it because women are choosing their professions over being married or even being in an exclusive relationship. And I think that has something to do with age. That's that age group too, the generation. I think who are we? The Z? Which one are we? I don't know. I can't.
Real worst on what?
Yeah.
Y'all are Gen X.
Okay. Well, the Gen X I think is a little different than that, but I think the generation before us, I think they like I say, I think the women in that age group are definitely choosing their profession and choosing to be single a lot longer and choosing not to have children just because they can. I mean, let's be honest with you. They can. Okay. Women can. I mean, they running it. Let's go and just be honest. Women are doing it, man. I mean, they got the most degrees. They're getting their degrees at a higher rate than any other group, but especially Black women. So they can kind of pick and choose when they ready to do what they want to do. So that's kind of how I look at it.
I agree. I want to ask you a question on this subject, Bert, because you're in a unique situation where you found that one. So do you think this is healthy going forward? You've been fortunate to find that person. To hear Kenny talk about how women are holding all the power and they're waiting a lot longer. What do you think this bodes for people getting married? How do you see this trend affecting people finding that right one getting married? You think we as men are going to be waiting around to be chosen?
To tell you the truth, no. Now let me ask you this. Here's the thing: are you talking about Western women?
I'm talking about who?
Like American women? That's what you're talking about?
Yeah. Now again, some of those numbers we're talking globally. But for the sake of our conversation, yeah, we're talking about right here in the United States. And if you want to drill it down even more, we could talk about African American women.
Yeah, I think that as far as with that, I think you're going to see a decrease with marriage. And I think that right now, in the space that everybody is living in right now, I don't think there's enough good examples of marriage. So I think people now are a lot more hesitant, especially women, which they have the right to be. You don't want to get caught up in the wrong situation, and no telling what their examples were at home or what they experienced throughout their own, trials and tribulations in the whole nine. So I think right now, people are less tolerant of what they would expect it to be in a relationship, if that makes sense. And a lot of times they'll hear all the angst and everything like that. A lot of people don't feel like dealing with that right now, along with everything else that's going on out here as far as like the pandemic and all this other stuff that's going on, inflation. I think now people are going to be really ultra picky.
Okay.
And we like you said, like man, we're going to have to swallow that.
Okay.
Going are those days where we can just, hey, what's up, and talk or whatever, and those days are gone. It's like, what do you have to offer? And tell you the truth, I'm not even sure if I even want to really be with you like that.
So to be clear, when you say people, you're saying women are going to be far more selective because they can be, and that men, we're pretty much going to have to wait.
Yes.
Gotcha. I just wanted to be clear. Which brings me to you, Tasha. If you don't, I don't think you mind, but would you mind telling the viewers your age? because we are, myself and Ken, we're Gen X. I'm 54 years old. And so because I want something specific here now. What's your age?
I'm a lady. I'm just kidding. No, I'm
Okay,
33. I'm
okay.
33.
Okay,
I'll be 34, coming up in the next month, I'll be
okay.
34.
I,
Um,
I bring that up because you're 20 years younger than me.
mhm.
And so, but you are one of those people I think is living proud singlehood. Am I wrong?
I would. I'm not even gonna call it proud though. I'm not
Okay.
gonna say. I'm not gonna
That's
say. Because I think proud has such like a weird connotation in this sense.
okay.
I'm not gonna say it's necessarily proud. I'm comfortable. I'm living comfortable singlehood. I'm
Okay.
not in any rush. Where and I listen. I'm listening to you guys and what y'all are saying. I want to just say that for some women, there are a lot of women that I do believe that are in my age group that would like to be married, but the men, a lot of the times, the men, and I'm probably projecting based on something that happened to me earlier. It's just having to, like wait for them to get their shit together. Because if they're going to wait on us to feel like, okay, well, yeah, now I'm ready, well, then now you have a whole generation, everybody just waiting on the next one. And I'm not saying this, and let me be clear, I'm not saying that this whole generation of men is trash. Absolutely not. I'm not saying that. But
Gotcha.
there's just, I think that there have been, from the millennials to the Gen Xers, like those different generations removed of seeing, to Bert's point, good examples of marriages that maybe they saw their mothers be in, their parents be in terrible relationships, inconsistent, unstable relationships, that they're like, you know what, I'm good on that. I can wait. I don't really need that. But then it's also on the other side of it, we are, I hate to say it, we are the most entitled generation ever. So there's a lot of things that we're not willing to be realistic about. There's a lot of things that we're not willing to really compromise on a lot of times. And, understanding that not, Rome didn't get built in a day. And what you may not have been exposed to in what really goes into a marriage, you may have only seen just just what was put out there in front of you. There's always more to it, like behind the scenes. Relationships are work. We know that. And I think a lot of people just don't want to do the work. I do.
I love it. You gave so much for me to unpack there, and I want to bring a little bit of context to a conversation that she and I were having earlier, just on this kind of subject, where she made a statement that I loved. Made me laugh. But she says, "I'm tired of being the man in the relationship." You know,
I'm sick
and
of me.
and it's funny, but and say it how you said it, and for her to say that as a woman, it made me laugh. But at the same time, it drilled home a lot of what I'm seeing out there. And I posted something on my page yesterday, where, or maybe did it today. Kim Kardashian, for example, is angry that Kanye is bullying Pete. She broke up with Pete, the comedian guy, and Kanye posted on his social media account that he's dead at 28. And now Kanye's being called out for bullying Pete. And even she's saying he's. So I posted simply, I said, these new age guys just aren't built out of the men shit that I'm used to. So when I heard Tasha say that, I'm tired of being the man in a relationship, for me, when I think about this topic of proud singlehood, you're right, Kenny. They are holding all the power right now. It's turned upside down. They get to pick and choose. But there's a saying: heavy is the head that wears the crown. You know, and so I've said this a long time ago. Be careful what you wish for, because while you're sitting on top of that heap, not everybody is built to be the king. You know, and when you ascend to the throne, there's a lot of shit that comes with that now. So, like you said, Kenny, at a disproportionate rate, women are getting their education. They get their shit together in many cases far quicker than men do. And so now they might be proudly being single and waiting. But here's what you got to be careful of. Once you decide at some point, okay, now I'm ready, don't assume that men are going to be just sitting there and ready to go.
Right.
I want to bring a stark reality to the table now, because while you are proudly single, there are many brothers that are coming over to that side as well and discovering that being alone may not just be so bad. I am one of those individuals that while I do miss company here and there, I have evolved to a point where I actually don't want to be in a necessarily serious relationship. I want a situationship. I want to fuck when I want to fuck. I want your company when I want your company. But for the most part, I truly enjoy being alone. Without all what you say about people make things complicated, Tasha, I have come to a point in my life where I enjoy a less complicated existence that goes along with all of the bullshit, because even for those women who've got the education and they got the great house and the great transportation, and maybe they aren't even their kids are grown, there's still a level of complication, fuckery, and foolishness and nonsense that you bring to the table that I don't need in my life. Because as I have been out here single this long, you know what I've discovered? I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. And in many cases, if the most what you're bringing is in your musty drawers, I can deal with that. I cook better than most women. My apartment is cleaner than in most women's places. You know what I'm saying? And with monkeypox and some more shit going around, I only want your musty snatch every now and then. So, Brother Bert, you got a comment?
Yeah, I wanted to go back to when you were saying like the effects on marriage, and when I was saying like the world, because I'm starting to see now, as far as like even with a lot of black men, they're starting to like go overseas. And that's
Wow.
why I was like, was it American or is this world? When you like this world, I'm like, okay, because I'm starting to see that transition now, and I'm just like, wow, like now the brothers are going overseas and like not even want to deal with the women over in America, and then they're being told just to stay over there and like find a great living, because I guess it's that they're looking for third world prices, but
Right.
living
Right.
first world, so they're like zooming over there.
You make
So
you're
that's why I
making
was like, wow.
you're making a really really good point that once upon a time, especially in the African American community, the threat was white women. That's not necessarily the case anymore, because we date interracially. That's not even an issue anymore. And maybe now the trend may be moving away from American women in general. You know, so you bring up a good point. I want real estate insider. This is Mr. Lamar. Appreciate you, my brother, for popping in.
What up, Lamar?
And of course, this show is under his umbrella, TFG. But he says, what society may call a good marriage, identify as toxic and unfair for the woman. So what a good marriage is still convoluted. That's a really good point. That's a really, really good point, because I think, brother, the needle has been moved in terms of what we define as a good relationship anymore.
I think, but but even that, I think that the certain terms have just become just those words that we use to describe certain things that aren't necessarily toxic. Just like I think a lot of people conflate disrespect for dislike. It's different things. So just because you don't like it, or maybe it's not what your idea is, it's not toxic. That's what works for them. That is what they have negotiated between the two of them. So, like I do think that with those terms now, especially for, like with relationships now, you can't even hear anything without hearing toxic or red flags or different things. I think a lot of times people are just trying to make perfect relationships, and that's why I go back to my point earlier, not willing to compromise. We're not, we all know we're not perfect, right? But we do all think we're damn near close to it. But I think if you ask somebody who truly loves us, they would probably say, no, No, let me tell you, you got some work that you could do in these areas, and maybe we're just not willing to work on those. It's not toxic, it's just
I agree.
areas of opportunity.
I agree. And I think
Nah,
about the other end of the spectrum as well when I look at a marriage like Sierra and Russell Wilson, and how he continues to be called out, as whatever these terms are, simp, wimp, whatever, sucker, this and that, when from where I sit, he's just trying to please his wife. But that in of itself may be even turning off a lot of men to marriage because the idea that you would want to put your woman on a pedestal and do nice things for her is perceived as you're a weak man, so
right. You know what the term used to be called, right? Black back in our
pussy
younger
whip,
days.
pussy whip,
Even the other one, hen pat.
or that,
You know what I'm saying?
absolutely,
And Tasha made a great point, and I think at the end of the day, we're all human beings. We're innately we're selfish. I mean, we all are selfish. I mean, we want a relationship how we want it. So
absolutely,
what you go in it, not even wanting to, like Tasha say, compromise. And I think we go into it. Tasha hit on that thing too. I see it all the time on social media. People quick. You don't want to find good in anybody. You want to find the red flags and say, okay, all these little nitpicky little stuff, man, that you think is toxic is really. I mean, come on. I just think we don't really want to work at having a relationship or a marriage. We just selfish at the end of the day.
absolutely. That's a great transition to my next one. I think you guys will find this interesting, since you said maybe we don't want to work at it. This is a trend that I'm going to read something to you guys. Emotional intelligence over physical attractiveness. I want to read something to you guys and share this with you. It says, according to Match's annual Singles in America report, emotional maturity has never been hotter. This year, for the first time ever, there was a drop in singles' preference for physical attractiveness, while preference for partner traits like being open-minded and accepting have increased, the report reads. In fact, get this, 83% of the singles polled said they are looking for emotional maturity in a partner rather than physical attractiveness because looks fade and being a compassionate, progressive human being doesn't. What do you guys think about this?
When was this? When was this report? Is it a date when this was written?
Yeah.
Let's see if what's the
I,
date
I,
on this article.
And what do
This
people
this
look
is a
like?
current 2022.
and it makes a lot of sense because I think this is going off of the last 2 years here in the states that we were in that pandemic and everybody was holed up in their homes.
I was hoping you brought that up.
So whatever way you were interacting with the opposite sex, it was through like we're doing here. You FaceTiming. So now you got to have a conversation. Now we're going to see what you got up here between the ears. So yeah, I can totally see that people are going more that way now because of what we've been through the last 2 years.
Absolutely. Tasha, as a single woman, and I know I've asked you guys this many times before, like, what do you look for in a guy and blah, 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 blah. Where are you in terms of this, has for you as a single woman and what you're looking for? Is the emotional intelligence over physical attractiveness? Where do you stand for you?
Yeah, definitely. But I have maintained like the whole time, like where yes, I want to be physically attracted to you, but it's not going to be the first thing that is going to catch my attention, and it's not definitely going to keep me interested either.
Okay.
But like as a woman, we do tend to look at things just, like a little bit differently. And a lot of times in a lot of situations, it's not always with our heads. It's more, more led with our hearts and different things. But even specifically for this, yes, there has been a shift, and you hear it more and more of people saying that they want, like the open-mindedness and everything. But again, you have to be careful here because some of the things that people are looking for, I don't even know if it's even emotional intelligence. I think it's more about can I, how quick are you? How much can I get over on you? And I do think that that's a lot that we're seeing too, because it's like, can I talk you how much can I talk you into this? I'm gonna, take you up to a certain point and just see if you're just willing just to go with it. But I'm not necessarily looking for a man. There's not any man in the world that I honestly believe is can truly understand me. I don't understand me half the time. So I don't even want that from you. Just a little bit of patience. We're different. We're supposed to be different. So
Okay. Okay. Hannah, welcome to the show, sweetheart. I forgot to say that. And I want to ask you a question first, so, before I get to your partner here. You guys weathered the storm of the pandemic, and Brother Kenny talked about the fact that when the pandemic hit and all of a sudden we were forced to be behind closed doors with whoever we was with and see them in all their glory, you know. And so, how did you guys weather that storm? And clearly, you weathered it because it's leading to a marriage. What was that? If you don't mind, share with just a little bit. I'm not talking about any intimate details, but I mean, in terms of the emotional intelligence part, how did you guys cope with that, as you dealt with the pandemic?
Um, I don't know about the emotional intelligence part. I'm going to be honest.
Okay.
I think so, I'm gonna be honest. So during the pandemic, I think we had a lot of fun, like just in the house playing games and him working out and me being a purr and
Okay. Okay.
just getting new recipes, trying things out. I feel like the pandemic actually, instead of making us farther apart, it kind of brought us closer together. Now I'm not, and also we have also it's crazy. We started our pandemic a little different. He went right home. My company kept me in because of the role I was in. I wasn't able to take some of those files home.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually was still driving, the only one in the office at the time,
Okay.
until we were actually able to be home together. So our pandemic was a little different in the beginning, which was a little stressful because I'm going out here. He's home, they're home. I still had to travel. I couldn't come right home. It took me maybe everyone came home in March. I didn't come home to August. So I feel like I'm not going to say emotional intelligence, but we did learn each other a little more. We learned how to get along. We learned how even though we're together, we still can find different places in the home to be apart. Because I think a lot of things happen that people were so used to being on top of each other, they didn't realize we can still be in the same house, but we still need a little bit of separation to be able to cope throughout the day. And I
Okay.
think that's what kind of helped us.
Okay. Bert, before you answer, because I want to ask you something specific, but I want to read a comment really quickly. Ms. Tyra says stability is a major concern, both emotional and financially. So she's bringing the financial end of it. I can appreciate that. But your fiance said that, well, I don't know as much about the emotional intelligence part. I want to ask you as a man, how much did that come into play with you? Because I think for us as men, we're visual. We are visual creatures. And so there is definitely, we've said it on this show, you included, how important the physical attractiveness. I don't believe for one moment you would be marrying that woman if the physical attractiveness wasn't
Right.
high on the list. So we
Right.
gonna keep it honest.
Yeah, gonna keep it funky. Yeah,
We
let's
gonna
do
keep
it.
it funky. We gonna keep it funky. So during the pandemic, what role did this play for you? You're already physically attracted to her because you wouldn't be sitting there. But where does the emotional intelligence come into play?
Pretty much like you have to anticipate like the vibe. Like sometimes I can pick up on if something is off with her, and I know it could be that emotion. So a lot of times I have to pick up on that and just be mature enough to know that, hey, listen, nothing personal. She might be deep diving into her work. I gotta back off. Let me go back into the office here and chill and leave her be. And then later on she'll come up in there, give me a
Right.
kiss or whatever the case might be. So that's where, and that's just maturity in itself,
Absolutely.
and understanding yourself and understanding that. And I know when y'all was talking, I was thinking, and I was like, you have to go into a relationship knowing that you're not perfect, and neither is
Absolutely.
that person. I don't
Absolutely.
that cutesy goofy phase. I couldn't stand that beginning stages of a relationship only because it's a fake off. You're gonna put your
Right,
best foot
right,
forward. Of course, I'm not
right.
gonna trust you. So
Yeah.
Absolutely.
when we start getting deep in the trenches, you know, and the disagreements and things like that, that's how you make your bones. You know what I mean? That's how you cut your teeth. So
I have a
I
question.
think we trying to. I think sometimes we're trying to reinvent the wheel.
Okay.
I
You know,
believe
what
it.
happens is just everybody, and like and Tasha touched on it a little bit too. Like, you know, like I am who I am. You are who you are.
Right.
You know, I'm a man, you a woman, whatever. And hey, I got certain ways, you have certain ways. It might not be
Absolutely.
all right, it might not be all wrong, but at the end of the day, we can find some type of compromise. And I think that's what it really comes down to. Are you willing to compromise?
Absolutely.
Right.
I want to ask everybody a question, and I'm gonna start with you, Bert, because of what you said. Welcome, sis, to the show. This is Sherry from New York City.
What's up,
What's up,
Sherry?
y'all?
What's up,
Sis.
everybody?
Sherry.
So, and I'm gonna start with you, but this question is for everybody. So, do you feel the pandemic helped you more or her more? And for us, I want to ask a single people, do you think this helps men or women? Did the pandemic help men or women more with appreciating emotional intelligence over physical attractiveness? So for you, Bert, do you think it helped you more dealing with the pandemic or your fiance?
It helped me more because I was still, you know, I could still be a little ogreish. And she reminds me here and there that you could be an ogre. So with the
I'll look it up
pandemic and
another
when
page.
and when she finally, you know, had to work remotely, you know, that's what I was saying. I had to mature, and I had to start to listen and realize what she was saying, not take it to heart. You know, because sometimes I don't realize when I'm acting a certain way. I mean,
Gotcha.
a lot of us
Gotcha.
don't. We don't realize we're being a certain way. We think we cool. But when I started to understand that, then that's when I started to become a little bit better through this pandemic. And again, space, like even now, like if you told you if you walk up in here, you like, do y'all even speak to each other? No, we can actually it's this is funny, this is comical. It's like we're simulating that we're really not in this house.
Right.
It's
Mm.
ridiculous. I could be in that office and I'm walking by. I think the only thing that I do, and it is what it is that I walk into there, I walk into her space, and I'm like, you need anything from downstairs? But if it's not anything else, it's like we're somewhere separate. She calls me. She don't even come into the office. She's like, what you doing? I'm working.
I love it. I love it. I love what I would marry before, and that was the best part of marriage for me when you hit that ultimate comfort zone. You know, so, oh man, we lost them, so hopefully we'll get them back here. But I'm gonna come to okay. So I love that you guys hit that ultimate comfort zone. You know, and that you talked about having an office that you're still giving each other that space. You know, Hannah, you want to add anything to it? Did I lose you guys? Did I lose you guys?
Brother, whatever you said, an Amber Alert came up on the phone and shut everything down.
Uh,
You blacked out for just a little second.
Yeah, that
Okay.
Amber
Just a little
Alert
second.
shut
And it was like,
everything
forget this
down.
show, Amber Alert.
It's all good.
All those Alexis, I'm looking for you. Where you at? Where
Love it.
you did at?
Well, we definitely appreciate what you said. Hannah, you want to add anything to that? Because I know you were agreeing that the emotional intelligence helped him more. You want to add anything to it?
Um, so I think it kind of helped us equally because I had to learn as well. Because I'm gonna be honest, when I'm in my work, I'm in my work. Like, don't bother me, don't talk to me. Like, I'm deep in my job. So
Okay.
I think it kind of helped me realize, like, you don't have to be so engrossed in yourself while you're working. So I think it kind of helped us both more. I'm not gonna really just say him because I had a
Okay.
lot of maturing I had to do as well.
Okay.
Like I had to realize you can stop working, you can talk, you can do whatever, and still maintain everything.
Absolutely. Sis, I want to ask you, once the pandemic hit, how did it affect your marriage? You know, in terms of emotional intelligence over physical attractiveness. I don't know what she's going to say, but I'm asking.
Yeah, you be condemning me before I start.
No, I'm saying you're like me. You're unpredictable that I don't know what's coming. But, you know, once the pandemic hit, and of course, all of a sudden we're forced to be around that person, whether we want to or not, because you got to make it through the pandemic. And now that it's been lifted, one of the dating trends that have emerged is that, more women are saying that, they're choosing emotional intelligence over physical attractiveness. How does that affect your relationship or how you feel? No, we're losing shares, so my voice is trapping people off.
I guess that's what. Oh, here she go.
There she is.
Okay, did you hear, sis? The question? Okay, we can't hear you. Hold on. I'm trying to unmute you. I can't. You got to unmute yourself, sis. We can't hear you.
She must have got that alert. I wonder did she get that Amber Alert too?
Okay.
No,
Okay.
it was in North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
It was in
sis.
another county.
Okay, I hear you.
For me, I think it did us well, me and my husband, because we spent more time together. And because usually, I'll be on the go and he be on the go.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? So it I think it was good for both of us.
Okay. Sound equally shared. Kenny, Tasha, myself, we're single. Pandemic hit. We weathered the storm. We've emerged. Who do you feel like this is benefiting more from, and how is it affecting you in any way? Has emotional intelligence over physical attractiveness? Is it still the same, or you value it even more, one or the other? Who do you think this benefits more?
That's a really good question. I've been trying to think. I think for me, it definitely has. It's kind of the scales are kind of almost even now between the physical attractiveness and the emotional intelligence because when you cooped up, or well, which I wasn't, but I'm just thinking about if you with someone and you have to really sit down and really chill for a second, you really get to see where a person where their mind state is, where their intelligence is, where their emotions are. So I think it has made I think it's opened up the lines of communication a little bit more, I would say, between the sexes. I would say even the good and the bad. But I mean, the social media aspect has definitely changed the way the game is. I mean, the singleness and how you interact with people. And it showed some of us the good parts of us and the bad parts of it. But for me, if choosing, I think for me now, because I want to be physically attracted to you, but I think that emotional intelligence has kind of moved up there almost to even par with physical attractiveness as well.
Okay. What about you, Tasha?
You know, I think that I think it actually depends on the generations. And I say that for this reason. Like, I think if you ask maybe like more Gen Z what they would say, I think people say emotional intelligence is what they would be looking for over physical attractiveness, but just so that they don't sound so vain, and so shallow. But I
Okay.
do think if you broke it down by different generations, it's going to look differently depending on where you are in your life.
Okay.
So I don't know. I'm not going to say that
Okay.
it's going to be that like for me, it doesn't change. It hasn't changed. It's the same,
Okay.
from what I look at, for what I consider, it's the same. But I do, but for as far as like men and women, it's going to vary by
Okay.
generation.
So I'll speak to my own personal experience. For me, emotional intelligence far surpasses physical attractiveness post pandemic. I think about right before the pandemic when I was working in an office, and every Friday, me and my coworker, we would go out to Huey Louie's and eat. Every Friday, it was a standing, thing that we would do. Friday, it was just our thing. We hit the thing, and for me, it was all about physical attractiveness at that point. If I was, how I looked at women in general. For me at that time, end of a long week, if I was looking to hook up with somebody, whether I would meet there or just in general, it's the weekend. So for me, it was like all about the physical attractiveness. Honestly, I didn't even care to know whether she had a brain in her head. This was just going to be a quick encounter to get me through the weekend, because that was just a part of the mentality of it that, okay, on Monday, I got to go back to work. So if I can get a nasty 50 no good bitch over and use her up, then bang, I can get my bang for my buck and get her up out of here. And that was what I was looking for. Now the pandemic hits and we're forced to sit home. For me, it forced me to now contemplate, what does it mean to have somebody in my space? And so for me now, it went beyond. You would think, it was just kiss, but no, because now if that person's going to come over in the midst of COVID, I had to think about what was up here a little bit more and how that person processed and dealt with other things. Because now I was more of an investment to have her in my home, to trust her enough that we're going to have our mask off, you know what I'm saying? And we're going to be communicating and talking. So now I got to figure out, do I like this bitch enough that I want to trust her up in my space? I say bitch with all affection, But so for me, I had to think of it from that kind of standpoint. And even now that we're past the pandemic, it's still that case now where for me now, again, everything changed. Me and Tosh was talking about this just today. Even though the ban is lifted, I still don't go out to sports bars anymore. Don't go to clubs. I don't eat out at restaurants. I prefer to cook at home. And so anybody now that's in my personal space, the physical attractiveness is a byproduct now. Now, in fact, the last time I went out to a club, which was about a year ago, I'm so sick of twerking that I don't know what to do with myself. So looking at a woman now with big old titties and a big old abnormal looking ass, it completely turns me off. You know what I'm saying? And so my interest in attractiveness, it's more cerebral now. You know what I'm saying? If I have a choice now between somebody from Love and Hip Hop, with the big fake this and fake that, and they got the perfect hair, perfect makeup, this and that, versus giving me a woman with, titties ain't quite perfect, stomach got a little bit of gut on her, ass got a little bit of wear and tear on her. I'm okay with that. You know what I'm saying? I know.
So stupid.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What you talking about, a 69 Chevy, or you talking about a woman?
I'm trying to be as vivid as I can. The body doesn't have to be all that perfect. I actually would prefer a woman that don't wear makeup. I'm looking for somebody more natural, and I'm more attracted now to somebody that turns me on up here, more so now than just the physical, So that's, for me, it really has affected me in that way. So that's Tasha, I don't know if that's generational or not, but that's how it really has affected me, for sure. Definitely, for sure. So yeah, I know I'm trying to discuss women like they cars, but I'm a show. I'm a show.
And he damn sure don't want no 69 or 68 version.
I know.
It can't be
know
older than at 86.
Heck, I know I don't want no 69 version either. So I get that.
So, which brings us to the final trend, which I think all of us can relate to. And this is slow dating, and this kind of wraps it up. And I only want to share a couple of things quickly with you guys when it talked about the slow dating. And this was for a study on Bumble again, that people taking their time to get to know each other and build a connection before. This is the key point here: before deciding if they want to pursue the relationship or meet in person. And it says 55% of the people on Bumble are taking longer to move the match offline. People are starting to get to know themselves a lot more. And as a result, they're taking the time to figure out who is and isn't right for them. Is that a good thing or a bad thing, especially for a dating site, for dating trends in general, that people are slow dating?
Again, I have to agree with Tasha. It depends on what you want. I mean, if you're looking for something long term, I think most people are really probably want to take their time to really see who this person is, get to know them, get to know the ins and outs about them. So it just depends on those dating sites. Everybody's kind of looking for a different thing. So as far as the process of how slow or how fast you go, it just depends on the individual. So I just think it just depends on how what you're looking for.
Let me ask you, like you specific, like even if you meet somebody now, would it be with this trend of slow dating?
Slow is subjective. Dang, I ain't trying to go 5 miles an hour in a 55 speed limit.
Right.
I mean, come on now. I'm on this side of the hill now. I ain't on the upside. I'm on the downside. So yeah, we gonna have to figure this thing out. So I definitely want to get to know the person, but also I want to make sure that it's got to be the right pace, whatever that pace is.
I got you. Do you personally, as a single guy, you're not only two single men on here, do you have a time frame of getting intimate and getting serious? Is there a time frame for you?
No, I ain't never really believed in that. I mean, I feel like if you two grown people and y'all want to go ahead and buck tussle, y'all do it whenever y'all feel like it. If it's the first night or if it's the 90th night, So no, I ain't really got no time frame, but I ain't the type of cat that's gonna, I ain't gonna be like that cat that was on that video the other day and drop 5 G's and he ain't getting none in 2 days. First of all, he played himself anyway.
Yes, he did. Yes,
Yeah,
he did.
Yes,
so
no, I don't. I think it's two mature adults. It'll happen when we want it to happen.
Okay, Tasha, same question. As a single woman, if you found the right person, is slow dating where you're at? You're laughing already. Taking your time. And do you have a time frame for getting intimate and getting serious?
I'm laughing because you say slow dating. I think I hear my grandmother in my head talking about coding, and so that's what I think. I can hear her so clearly, like saying that. So, like with slow dating, maybe dating with intention, dating with purpose, dating for specific reasons, not just for the sake of casually dating because you don't want to be alone. I think that is a good thing. I think that is okay. I do think that people should take a little bit more time and even ask themselves, are you horny or are you looking for a relationship? Those are the two questions that need to be answered. Absolutely. And hell no, I don't have a time frame. You know me. If it feels good, it feels right. Okay. Let's get the awkwardness out the way and then okay, now hello, how are you? So, and also it's just about weeding out, not dealing those. There's certain like non-negotiables, like at this stage, okay, I'm just not even going to deal with it. Let's just knock out a few of these questions and let's just see offhand before we even meet. Is how do you meet this preliminary checklist? Okay, cool, fine. Now that we've gotten that out the way, now we can see what's going on and take our time, build relationships. I don't think that people do that now as much. I don't think they build relationships. I think they jump into them.
Okay. And for you personally, post pandemic, where now we are more cognizant of letting somebody in our personal space, are you more apt to slow date more now, or no difference whatsoever from pre pandemic?
Oh, it's no different.
No different.
I was the same before. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So let's talk to our married. Sherry's married, and I got an engaged couple. What do you guys think about the idea of slow dating? In terms of people taking their time to get to know each other, and especially from a dating perspective. Again, now that we're kind of cognizant of who's in our personal space, good thing, bad thing, or you guys are indifferent.
Well, to be honest with you, brother, you know me, with my own husband, I wasn't intimate with him in a whole year when I knew him. So I just feel like you should be slow dating anyway, get to know the person. Because just because I like you or I'm attracted to you, that don't mean I'm going to fuck you.
Okay.
And then out here right now in the pandemic, and there's monkeypox out here, I don't want nobody touching up on me. I don't want no bumps and shit.
uh, she make a good point. Bert, Hannah, what do you have to say?
I'll probably agree with Kenny with the it goes on your own pace. I think slow dating probably is a little bit better, especially what Sherry said with everything out here under the sun. But also, like Tasha said, it depends on what you want. Like I know when we started dating, we took our time. Like our first night, we just talked. Like it wasn't even it wasn't a date, but when we first we just had a conversation for hours, just talking and getting to know each other. So I think it depends on your how you want to pace your relationship. I think it's and not just that online. I feel like maybe it's a little, if you're online, just a safety precaution. I feel like that might be a little bit better. Like just know just a little bit more information just for your safety, depending on
Absolutely.
where you're doing it. But honestly, I feel like you just go at your own pace. You want to give up the draws, give up the draws. If you don't, don't. Because I feel like if you do it on the first night or the 10th night, it really don't matter if you really feeling that person.
Okay. Bert, what do you want to add?
I feel like when you first see that person, they should have dropped the draws and just give me some. It's like, but
You know damn well. You Negro.
but to tell you the truth, and I was going to ask you, but you already had said it with the last segment about everybody just wondering if everybody feels more cerebral. And I just think that now a lot of people out here, because of the pandemic, being whether they're in like by themselves or not, they know a little bit more about themselves, and everybody knows what they're going to tolerate and what they won't tolerate.
Right.
So I think now people are more inclined to just take it easy and like, all right, we're going to do this the slow way,
Right.
and if it works out, it works out. If it don't, it don't. So
Gotcha.
I think it's a good way, and plus, it'll cut down on a lot of the toxic relationships as well. Like when you're talking about people who might not feel comfortable being alone, they jump into a
Right.
relationship and wind up wrecking the whole relationship and things of that matter. So I think it's a good approach. I think it's a good thing.
I do too. And again, I'm gonna speak from a personal perspective because before the pandemic, I worked the apps. Was very successful at them. I used them to my advantage, and I wasn't as concerned, as I am now post pandemic. And so I like the idea of taking a little bit more time before you take it offline. The way I used the apps prior to the pandemic, it was my personal hookup spot. I would sit at work, again, working from an office, and I would set up my meet for that night, you know, knowing I didn't know anything about them. I was going strictly again on looks, and sit there at my desk and pick and choose, the various different ones. And, I knew that's who I was hooking up with that night. And I didn't think anything of it, Now, of course, post pandemic, you have all this time to think about the risky behaviors I was engaging in, and it made me reflect on not wanting to fall back into some of the cycles I had conquered once upon a time. It ain't cool for a 54-year-old man to be sitting up in some health clinic and shit itching and scratching. So, I was like, I need to kind of check myself and reel myself in, and then Tasha and I was having this conversation. Sherry mentioned monkeypox, where I see the so-called heterosexuals taking advantage of slow dating. I don't see it with homosexuals. In fact, one of their slogans for their current campaign, this is an actual slogan from the CDC to the gay community, and it says, forget about hot girl summer and wait for anal autumn. That is their actual slogan. That is their actual, they're literally telling their group that hold off for the summer, get this monkeypox shot, and then you can stuff yourself in as many assholes as you want to, And I'm not impugning gay people, but I brought up something that I asked, that when I do see a lot of the openly gay population, especially in clubs, they do still seem to engage in more of the anonymous group sex kind of things a lot quicker, and they don't, slow dating doesn't seem to be a part of how they get down. And I could be so wrong, and I welcome any gay person to correct me on this, because I'm sitting here just looking from the outside looking in. So having said that, that's where I wish this would become a trend all across the board, because I think it would be healthier for people to take the time to, before you take it offline. So I hope that does become a thing. I don't know if it will. So to Tasha's point, I don't know if that's generational or whatever, but that would be my hope. Because, as I wrap this up, we are in a very different place, whether we want to admit it or not. We're facing a perfect storm of, we getting ready to head into cold and flu season. We're still dealing with COVID. We got monkeypox. COVID's continuing to morph into different variants, whatnot. But at the same time, you can't regulate human behavior. We all want to be with somebody. We're attracted to one another. We're getting ready to go into cupping season. And so we have choices to make. And so I just hope that, this conversation has just, if nothing else, just brought it up to the point where we think a little bit before we leap, all of us, including me. And it's definitely done that for me, so even though Miss Tyra says that sometimes they both collide where horny meets relationship, you absolutely right.
Yeah, that's true.
That happens.
That happens.
Like that, Tyra, maybe you and I can become fuck buddies, so.
Okay.
Thought I slide in a little joke. I'm joking, but okay. Anyway, we all want to think before, but anyway, that is covering all of those different things. I thought this was an interesting topic. I try to bring things to the table that make us think.
Real good topic. Real good topic.
So that's all I can do. So do that. So with that said, look, I definitely want to make sure that you guys pick up from my energy. I was having a lousy day in some ways. It's good. It's a good evening. We've all made it. This is the best part of the week for me, that we on the other side of hump day. So we got a couple of days to go. We can make it. We doing all right. And seeing all of you guys definitely makes it all right. So, so anybody got any last words before I get my brother Kenny to close us out? Well, and let the viewers know where they can find all of us. Anybody got anything you want to add? Just, it don't have to be about this show, just in general. Anybody want to share anything? Because I'm in a great mood. Please.
Emotional connection does not mean let yourself go.
It does not mean what?
Let yourself go. Please keep your physical appearances up as well, even on the emotional connection.
That's true. Good point. Very good point.
Very good point.
Mm-hmm.
Very good point.
Yes, yes, Lord.
Whoever gets me, you definitely gonna have to be emotionally attached, because I've already let myself go. This is pretty much it. You're gonna have to be attracted to my sense of humor, and you can even be a little bit of a gold digger and get a little bit of what I got. I man, you a little bit. Now, don't get it twisted. There's some good dick under this belly now. I still know what I'm doing, but but she's right. She's right. Now I don't plan on letting myself go no further down this hill, but you get the motherfucker with a lot of problems. You need to understand off the top. Sciatica, gout, diabetes, high blood pressure, out of breath. There's a lot of shit wrong with me. Be prepared for that. And that's why I tell you, I can give you a couple of good nights. Can't stay over here on a regular basis. I'm just gonna tell you.
Well, that's how it ends.
Yeah,
That's all, folks.
Take us home, Brother Kenny.
Man, you know what, you got everybody over here cracking up as usual. Anyway, y'all ignore Brother Black. he don't know how to act. But anyway, man, as always, a great show. You can catch Lee Black and Miss Tasha. You can catch them every Wednesday and Sunday. On Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 Central, and on Sundays, 7 Eastern Standard Time and 6 Central. On Sundays is a little bit more fun, a little bit more, come with some different topics that make you crack up a little bit and just have some fun. And on Wednesdays, kind of come with something a little bit more serious, but still interject some humor in it as well. So make sure you're watching Real Talk for Real Men. You can catch them on TFG Uncut on YouTube, TFG Ratchet on YouTube, as well as Real Talk for Real Men on YouTube. Make sure you come in, you subscribe, you hit that like button, you share, you tell all your friends. Make sure you share it and people can watch it later. Comment on it, hit that like button, would you please? Now, on Fridays and Sundays, you can catch the Real Estate Insider with Lamar Falk, who is the celebrity guy that goes and looks at people's houses. Again, he be all in their business. There be some houses that may be foreclosed and some houses that may not even have any furniture in it. But there he is right there, Real Estate Insider. Catch him on Friday nights at around 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. He goes live, and then on Sunday nights, he goes live around 9:30 Central Standard Time after the Real Housewives of Atlanta. To all you Housewives of Atlanta watchers, y'all can catch him after that. Then on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, you can catch Rue and the Fellas. Rue is the host, and you can catch her with Charles Moore and Dwayne Martin. They're talking the trending topics, entertainment, politics, news, and sports. You can catch them on their channel, as it's called Rue and the Fellas, on YouTube at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time on Sundays. Then on Mondays, TFG Tonight with the host Brendan Haynes and myself and that guy up there, Lee Black, and Devin Devine. We're on from 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern. We're talking politics. We're talking entertainment, what's trending, sports, whatever is happening. We're talking all the hot topics on Monday nights at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time on TFG Tonight on YouTube. And then on Tuesday nights at 6:30, you can catch me, sports guy Kendrick, with TFG Sports Media from 6:30 to 7. I'm giving you all the sports straight with no chaser. And then on Wednesday nights, I think our Forgive Us Later guys have moved from Thursdays to Wednesdays. As a matter of fact, they're on right now. After this show, y'all go catch them on their YouTube channel, Forgive Us Later, with the host Lamar Falk and DJ Sullivan and Charles Moore. They get a little raunchy. So if you saved and sanctified and filled with the Holy Ghost, that ain't the show you want to watch, because you're going to need some blessed oil on your head after you listen to them cats. And then they got a new show, The Wrap Up with Lamar Falk and Charles Moore, that just debuted last night I believe at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. They going through all the TFG His and Hers group. If you don't know about the TFG His and Hers group, that's a relationship group where there's a lot of interesting questions in there. And Charles and Lamar goes through that on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Again, if you're saved and sanctified and filled with the Holy Ghost, you don't want to watch that show either, because you're going to need some blessed oil after it. And you have to pray for them boys. So come to TFG TV. We got something for everybody. Make sure you check us out. Make sure you like it. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share it. And support Black-owned business. Back to you, Black.
Absolutely. Thank you, my brother. And so I want to thank all of you guys for sharing a little bit of your time with us on this hump day. Tasha, Hannah, Bert, Kenny, my sister Sherry, you guys been on this ride with me for a long time. I love you. Thank you for continuing to support. I appreciate Jonathan popping in and say hello. What's up, fam?
Yes, sir.
And of course, Mr. TFG himself, always showing support. I love that. And Tyra, come on up to Atlanta in the fall. You can help me christen my new apartment, baby girl. Until next time, everybody have a good night. Keep it real.
Peace.